What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football TITTH number 32. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. This is my co-host, Nick Davis.
What's up, guys?
Our new co-host, Ebron Khan. Welcome him to the show. What's up, Ebron?
What's up, everybody? Let's take it to the Hizzy.
Yep, we're ready to get to it, take off here. We got some recent news, so we're just going to start it from the top. We got Darius Guice getting released from the Washington football team on, domestic abuse charges?
Yep. Domestic violence.
Yep. No room for that in the NFL, guys. You're going to get tossed pretty quick. If you didn't learn from Kareem Hunt, then, what can we teach you, Darius, guys? Anyways, yeah, he's out. He's deuces. So we got a wide open backfield. We got Adrian Peterson, Peyton Barber, Bryce Love, Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's been talking up Steven Sims Jr. So yeah, we're just going to talk about where we're going in this backfield for fantasy-wise. Nick, who's your guy? Who's the next man up here in this lineup?
I'm looking at Old Faithful, Adrian Peterson. That man is meant to run the football. Ron Rivera has been known to, use running backs in multiple ways, but Adrian Peterson is just a downhill runner. He got over 200 touches last year. He didn't crack 900 yards, but they were playing a lot of catch up, so he wasn't in there. They were using a lot of third down backs. I don't see him as more as like starting in your lineup, but more of a weekly stream where you just try and find those matchups where it's maybe a real soft run defense that he can beat up on, and they're not going to be playing a lot of catch up time. So I'm looking at AP right now.
What do you think, Imran?
I'm with Nick. I think AP is going to be the lead horse for this backfield for most of the season. And if you also look at the fact that, Ron Rivera is now the coach of the Washington football team. And his tendency in the past, he loves to run the ball. Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Christian McCaffrey. So I think AP is going to get relied on heavily. But I do think that before the end of the year, I think you're going to get a little bit of a impact from Bryce Love as well. He's a very talented back in college. Unfortunately, battled knee injuries. If he's able to stay healthy, I think he'll be able to contribute. And I think Antonio Gibson as well is a very, very intriguing player. He did a lot of things at Memphis. And like I mentioned earlier, D'Angelo Williams, who's another Memphis running back that did a lot of good things with Rivera back in Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, I like Adrian Peterson. I think he's going to get his fair share of workload in this offense. I think for me, with looking at this Washington football team, I'm going to see a lot of garbage time, and I'm going to see Adrian Peterson getting taken off the field during that time. He's only recorded, 17 catches last season, 20 catches the season before that. So he's not used in the passing game, really whatsoever. And I think with the weapons that they've added, Antonio Gibson, you do have Peyton Barber back there that can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think that they have the tools there that are available to them. They don't need Adrian Peterson to catch the ball. So that's one downside for him. His upside for me, he has but totaled at least 1,000 total scrimmage yards the past 2 seasons. So there's some upside there. Even at age 35, he's still getting it done on the ground. 898 rushing yards last year, 1,042 the year before that with the Redskins. So even on a really bad team, he has been able to pound the ball in between the tackles and get some solid gains, right? 4.6 yards per touch the past 2 seasons. I see it. I just have a little bit more upside for guys like Antonio Gibson, the Steven Sims, even Peyton Barber, who historically has been, the Grim Reaper in the red zone, for other fantasy players. You watch your stud get all the way down there. Look at, Rojo last year, hashtag free Rojo, Ronald Jones.
Yep.
Kept getting, Peyton Barber eating into his workload. You didn't know who to start week to week. Some weeks, Barber would go off, other weeks Jones. So I could see him, even getting worked into here. My main takeaway, 3 to 4 week booms for all of these guys. I think we do see Adrian Peterson go off the first several weeks of the year. He's going to have the most experience of these guys, right? I do see Antonio Gibson. He's my hot take of the year. Next Matt Forte. I see him getting worked in. He's the 3rd round pick, new shiny toy in DC. You have Steven Sims there, who you've talked up, being electric out of the backfield, gadgetry, being able to do unique things on the line of scrimmage, sweeps, reverses, trick plays, all this other stuff. So there's a lot of options there. We were taking Darius Guice in about the 10th round of fantasy drafts. So if he was going that deep, imagine what value you can get all these guys at least in the 12th round or beyond. Maybe we see Adrian Peterson climb a little bit.
I think we will because in fantasy, it's really hard to find those running backs that are going to get significant chunks of carries from the offense. And as it stands now, I think we all think Adrian Peterson initially at least will be getting those carries. So I wouldn't be surprised if people, panic, those later rounds if they didn't get the back they wanted.
Sure.
They don't want to be, streaming a backup or a role player. They may take AP at that 10th round, at that 11th round, out of desperation.
I disagree. I'm looking for more AP to fall into my lap. He's not going to be getting better. He's Father Time is undefeated, and maybe this year he does crack.
Shout out
But
to Frank Gore.
yeah, Frank Gore, man.
Shout out Frank Gore.
But AP, he's just. I'm gonna let him fall into my lap. I'd rather him fall into my lap. I don't care if people freak out because there's a lot of options where I'm gonna be in that position where I'm kind of trying to fill my roster in those later rounds. AP is gonna be one of those names that pop into my head just to get that pick. But if he's not there, I'm not gonna be freaking out about it.
I'm not an advocate for a zero RB approach for anyone. I think that to have success in fantasy, you need to go out there. You need to get your bell cow back, whether it's in the first or second round. Maybe you want to take a contrarian approach and draft a high end wide receiver in the top 5 picks. I don't condone it. I don't push for it. But if you do, if you're feeling crazy or whatever, and you go zero RB, Adrian Peterson is a guy that's going to be there for you in the later rounds. So I could definitely see that being the case. In standard leagues, I think you could stretch to the 7th or 8th round. I don't think that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps up the backfield there for the Washington football team. It's a complete shit show in D.C., and Darius Guice has just continued to throttle that theme. So moving on, we got a sleeper tight end, our tight end 16, Eric Ebron. You want to introduce the Eric Ebron topic here, Nick?
Yeah. For me, Eric Ebron, everybody's when I shared this to the Steelers groups, everybody wanted to talk about how he has a lot of concentration drops, and that's a fact.
It's a reality for sure.
It's a reality.
It's been there his whole career.
But the one thing that I have really liked about the Steelers is how good of a football program they have been. Mike Tomlin is one of the top coaches in the NFL. He got his 3rd string running back and 3rd string quarterback to go, what was it, 8-8 last year?
Yep.
That was incredible.
It was impressive.
Looking at the graphic on the TV and being like, how are they still in the playoff race? It's because Mike Tomlin is the coach.
And Minka Fitzpatrick. Sorry.
And Minka Fitzpatrick, absolutely.
Big deal.
But with Eric Ebron coming in, he's one of the most athletic tight ends that the Steelers have had in a long time. Almost since, I would say, Heath Miller.
Yep.
But he's a different type of receiver. If anybody can fix the concentration drops, it's Mike Tomlin. And that's why I'm kind of high on Eric Ebron.
What do you think, Imran? You someone that you're going to take deeper in drafts this year?
I think so. I think I would take a flyer on Ebron in the later rounds if we're in a 12-team league PPR. Maybe 14th, 15th round if he's sitting there. I think with him being on the Steelers, like Nick just mentioned, his concentration drops and those type of issues. He's got an awesome coach that's going to help him focus, and he's got a future Hall of Fame quarterback that I think will help him as well. And I know they've been training together this offseason. So I think they're going to have some chemistry, and I think that's an offense with Big Ben being healthy, Juju on the outside. I think they get Deontay Johnson as well. I think he's going to find a role in that offense, and I think Big Ben has showed in the past if he has a talented tight end or a tight end that can be a difference maker, he'll go to him. So I think he's definitely worth a.
Yeah, I think the fit is there, right?
Yep.
You already have Vance McDonald there, Nick. You and I talked about Vance McDonald being a receiving threat in college. Coming to the NFL, gaining that NFL size, hitting that NFL weight room, and really catching those gains, right? So people, when they first look at him, they're like, "Hey, this is a blocking tight end," but
he's a big cat.
But in reality, he is a receiving threat. So I like having both of those guys there. I think that they both help each other, because you don't have a guy like McDonald who is still trying to adapt to NFL blocking, can maybe catch a few more passes. And then, of course, I just think they're going to run, double tight end sets, right?
Absolutely.
I still think that Tomlin's going to pound the rock into the ground with James Conner, and if he'll run his wheels until they fall off, and then they'll give it to the next guy. It's just kind of a signature of Tomlin's approach to running the ball. Back to Ebron, the past 3 seasons, he's had a catch percentage of about 60%. So coming to the Steelers, playing with a quarterback like Big Ben, who is, more, tight end friendly as far as quarterbacks go, where do you guys see this number climbing to?
Since 2012, the top tight end target each year in Pittsburgh has averaged 78 targets. And those are with the blocking type. No offense to Vance McDonald, he's a receiver, but he's a bigger guy. But Eric Ebron is more of a vertical threat, so he's going to be getting those deeper passes instead of coming across the middle. They're going to let him beat those safeties or go for those jump balls or beat those linebackers. So I see him getting at least 78 targets because that's the average, and I think he can do some damage with that as long as he stays healthy.
What do you think, Ebron?
I think target-wise, I think 78 is a good number for him. Hopefully, he can bring a lot of those in to catch. But like Nick said, I think in this offense, I think with having Big Ben healthy, I think he's going to be ready for a big year after missing some time last year. And I think this offense is just going to be very versatile. They have some weapons on that team. Not having to play with your third-string quarterback or your backup quarterback. Yeah, for most of the year, I think it's just going to elevate everybody's play. And I think we saw with Ebron, once he, played with his career year came when he played with Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
No shot against Matthew Stafford, but Andrew Luck in his prime is top 3, top 4 quarterback, and Ben's a future Hall of Famer. So interested to see what they do this year, but I think that 70 is a good number.
Yeah, and I do think that Eric Ebron, I'm not saying he's going to be quarterback proof. I do think that no matter, even if Ben goes down, he'll still get a healthy amount of targets.
Yeah.
Because I think that if Ben goes down, you're going to limit the upsides to guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, whatever receiver you think is going to take off. Their upside is going to be limited by the backups that they do have in place there.
Mm-hmm.
They were a team that I was bullish on grabbing a Cam Newton just to be a fail-safe for Roethlisberger, but Roethlisberger's look good. We're starting to see those videos come out of training camp. Slinging them across the practice field.
He lost weight too.
He lost some weight. The tendon talk isn't so welcoming. He had to have 3 tendons repaired.
Yeah,
that's not great.
Scary.
But you're looking at Eric Ebron that caught 13 touchdown passes 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in a high flying Colts offense, of course. Only grabbed 3 last year. But what is it? He only started 11 games.
Yeah, he was hurt.
He does have some durability issues, but at the same time, he doesn't. He could miss 3 or 4 games for you just based off of going across the middle, being a brutal force for their offense and taking those hits. I've seen weeks coming into a fantasy Sunday where he's got 3 or 4 injuries listed.
Yep.
I lost Steve
and
McNair.
he still starts.
Yep.
Literally, I looked at a chart one week and it was his ankle, his knee, his shoulder, his back, his hip, and I'm like, they're lighting up his entire body like it's a game of fucking operation.
Yeah.
And he still takes the field. I think that week he grabbed 4 balls and a touchdown. That may have actually been the 2018 season because
probably
that year he was playing hurt constantly, and Andrew Luck, like a Ben Roethlisberger, was constantly targeting his tight ends. All of his tight ends that year were live. Mo Ali Cox, Eric Ebron. So I like Ebron coming into this situation here. I think he is going to be the number 1 tight end over a Vance McDonald, and Vance McDonald will be there to clean up a few catches here and there. But I think Eric Ebron gets used a lot in this offense. We have him as our tight end 16. Anyone else taking him higher, lower than that?
No, I'm saying look for him in the very deep rounds. Let him fall into your lap. If he does, expect lottery ticket return. There's a huge chance that he could blow up, but there's also a huge chance that he couldn't. So I don't want to get too rich for him, but definitely keep your eye on him because he's kind of falling into the perfect situation.
Yeah, I think tight end 16 is a fair number for him, and I think he's just someone like Nick mentioned. In those later rounds, as you're rounding out your rosters and you're looking, like Nick mentioned, those lotto tickets, right? Who are those players that could be a game changer for you? And you may have grabbed a solid tight end, a Travis Kelce, a Killer Ertz early in the round, but this could be trade bait for you. If he goes off the first couple of weeks, you can flip him and let him, let somebody else deal with his boomer bust.
Absolutely, especially in leagues where they actually reward the tight end position with 1.5 PPR. I don't know if you guys ever play in those, but
I did not know about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Plenty of stuff out there. With where I have him ranked at 16, tight ends are going in that group for me. The Jack Doyles, the Jonnu Smiths, TJ Hockinson I have right ahead of Eric Ebron. I think those are very comparable. And then I have a Hayden Hurst right behind him, and I think that's actually deeper than a lot of people have Hayden Hurst. A lot of people are really high on him. I see him in a lot of top 10 rankings, but I have Eric Ebron right in that mix there.
Hayden Hurst went to Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm.
Their entire first round their entire offense is loaded with first overall picks.
I did see that.
Their first round picks.
Can I add a really quick Hayden Hurst fact?
Yes,
go ahead.
Hayden Hurst was traded for the same amount of picks as DeAndre Hopkins.
Good God.
Ooh.
Fuck Bob.
I just see Hayden Hurst kind of having the Austin Hooper season last year where he does absolutely nothing for 3 quarters and then he does something every 5 weeks in the fourth quarter to go off for 20 points. So the tight end position is kind of strange in Atlanta for
volatile everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Absolutely. So, be wary of him.
All right, cool. So that's all we got on Eric Ebron. definitely grab him or be looking for him at the back end of your drafts. Next up, we got trust or bust Kyler Murray. You want to introduce that, Imran?
Absolutely, and I just kind of hinted at it a couple of seconds ago with DeAndre Hopkins, but Kyler Murray is someone that's very intriguing to us. Justin's got him ranked as his QB3, and I'm just with him right there. One of the things I covered in my piece talking about Kyler Murray is I think he's your reigning offensive rookie of the year first. So get up a little bit of respect on his name.
Right.
A solid year, a little under 4,000 yards,
Mhm.
almost 600 yards rushing, and he took care of the ball. So, Kyler Murray last year only threw, 12 interceptions in 16 games. And as a rookie coming into the NFL, a lot of people said he's too short. He's coming from an offense that won't translate.
Can't see over the offensive line.
Exactly. But, he had a really solid rookie year. And I think this year, one of the things that we're going to see, and one of the things I covered is I think we're going to see him take an even bigger jump, a la Patrick Mahomes year 2, Lamar Jackson year 2. He's with the same offensive system.
Recency bias for sure.
Absolutely, and he's a high pick. And just like both of them, maybe not quite like Lamar, but he's got legs. He's a mobile quarterback. He can run. So I think he's going to be getting you a lot of, those hidden yardages. You may see him have a week where he could struggle against a top defense. A la he's going to play the Niners twice a year. He's going to play the Seahawks twice a year.
Yep. Jamal Adams coming to that division now.
Exactly. And the other thing I think is big is that, the Arizona Cardinals committed robbery and getting DeAndre Hopkins. He is arguably the best receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Larry Fitzgerald's still there, and I think Christian Kirk is going to settle into his nice little, slot role. And then Kenyon Drake had a huge year last year too. This offense is going to be fun.
High flying offense.
What do you guys think?
The one thing that I see being a little bit different than Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson is more of a comparable player than Patrick Mahomes due to the mobility. But I see Kyler Murray getting over like 4,000 yards passing. I don't see him going over 1,000 yards, maybe like 750 yards. But that's just because Cliff Kingsbury is more of a passing coach. In Baltimore, it's more run heavy. So 1,500 for Lamar Jackson is like no problem because he's going to have every opportunity. But this is going to be more of a passing offense because they have almost 4 legitimate receivers on their team that can absolutely take it to the house at any time. So that's just kind of like how I see it a little bit different. But I am very high on Kyler Murray for sure.
The Arizona Cardinals have absolutely loaded up on talent around him. With DeAndre Hopkins literally being one of the best receivers in the league. You have Larry Fitzgerald there, who's a Hall of Fame receiver. Christian Kirk, who has a ton of chemistry with Kyler Murray. They played together in college. Were roommates in college.
Yep.
You have Kenyon Drake there. Put some respect on his name. Chase Edmonds, same thing. Chase Edmonds can do a lot of the same things out of that backfield as Kenyon Drake, if not better. So they are deep. They have talent. And yeah, the offense there, the scheme is get the ball out quick, use all of your receivers in space. Don't let a tight end touch the field because we want athleticism and speed at literally every aspect.
Yeah.
The negative side of that, the drawback of that is weak offensive line play, right? We need to get the ball out quick. We need to get it out fast. And the offensive line isn't great. So as far as Murray's rushing abilities, I just touched on leagues with 1.5 points for tight end catches, right? There are also leagues where you get you lose a point for sacks on your starting quarterback. Murray is not the best option in those leagues because he's a safe runner. He gets out onto the outside the numbers, and gets out of bounds. In between the numbers, he's going to the ground. He is going to get his 5 or 6 yards, and he's going to the ground. And that's really the only criticism that I saw of him last year was that sometimes he would literally fall to the ground immediately because he doesn't want to take the hit. He wants, exactly. It's smart. You want to protecting your body, and that's great. And some fantasy aspects it might not be. If you're losing points for that, maybe he's someone that you want to not rush to grab. But this year, we're talking MVP candidate.
Yeah,
he is going to make this offense run. It's a very similar situation that I look to in Drew Locke in Denver. All the eyes are on him. It's the same thing with the offense in Arizona. All the eyes are going to be on Murray because you have everything there. You have everything that you need. Even with a bad offensive line, you have 2 running backs that can catch the ball on the field. I could see them using both of those running backs and the 3 top receivers all at the same time.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to spread teams out, and like Justin hinted at, I've seen Kyler Murray's a 16-1 odd for MVP, and a lot of people might be thinking that's a crazy bet, but I'm sure you're probably thinking the same thing this time last year when we would have said that about Lamar Jackson, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, no one was drafting Lamar Jackson even in super flex leagues in the top 5 picks.
Nope.
You weren't. Don't say that you did because people weren't.
You're a
doing
liar
it.
if you did.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Not being honest with yourself. So yeah, I mean, we have all the faith in him this year. We all trust Kyler Murray. He's a must grab for us. Ebron was saying before the start of the show is like, I may reach on him somewhere, but I don't think you have to. I think that right after the Lamar goes, Mahomes goes, you're pretty much right there between Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott. And I think it's going to be different in each league. I mean, if you're drafting somewhere in the state of Texas, I'm sure that Dak is probably going 3rd or 4th overall, right?
And I was going to sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I was going to mention that a lot of people are going to be running to Tom Brady.
Yeah. I could see
running.
it. I could see it. I mean, I've been talking up Brady too, but at the same time, like that's a really big overvalue.
Yep. In the last mock draft that we did, Kyler Murray went number 8.
8th quarterback overall?
8th overall in the draft.
Oh, 8th overall in the draft. So who were the quarterbacks drafted ahead of him? Because that was a
Lamar
super flex.
Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, so he went 3rd. He was the 3rd quarterback.
Third to go, but 8th overall.
Yeah.
That's a little high for me, but
well, if you're in a super flex league and you want your guy, I mean, because if it's not a big deal to take a quarterback in the 1st round in a super flex league, because at least 2 teams are going to do it. So if you want your guy, you can go grab Murray. You can go grab Wilson.
I did my first super flex league last year, and it was a 14-teamer, and
fun.
It was
fun.
Weird. It was weird. I bailed myself out later, but if in those leagues, if you don't take a QB early, I ended up with Eli Manning and Joe Flacco.
Ouch. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I took them both in the 8th and 9th round.
Wow, you waited.
Yeah, and
you waited.
I was able to bail myself out later, but it's
Minshew.
Actually, yeah, I got Minshew on waivers.
Yeah,
I got Minshew on waivers. I got lucky, but in those leagues, quarterbacks get driven up.
So I was in the same situation last year, and I went heavy early. I grabbed me Tom Brady and Russ Wilson, and they literally carried me in that league. Absolutely, because everyone else, I think we still had, it was either 1 flex spot or 2 flex spots, and it was just so deep. The guys that were getting plugged into that last flex spot, even some guys couldn't start 2 quarterbacks every week. It just wasn't possible with buys. So I really like those scenarios because I'm comfortable, drafting talent late, and I'll charge on the quarterback position early on. All right, cool. So that was a trust or bust for Kyler Murray. We are all big trusts on Kyler Murray this year. So now to close it out, we're just going to review some contrarian quarterback options, some guys that we're feeling at the back end of our drafts. Any of you guys want to fire away, or I can take it off?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Nick. What do you got?
I like my man Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Okay.
He's not getting drafted to hand the ball off to Joe Mixon. No offense to Joe Mixon. Love him. I hope he gets the ball more. But they're going to air the ball out in Cincinnati because they also drafted T. Higgins right behind him.
Sure.
John Ross isn't there, but he wasn't there last year. So I don't really, it's the same offense basically. But Zach Taylor, he's going to let Joe Burrow air the ball out. He's probably going to throw some interceptions because it's the NFL. But I have some, he might be my second quarterback sometimes in the super flex just so that I can take other positions, have a heavier concentration of, elite talent at other positions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got Burrow at quarterback 26, just ahead of Teddy Bridgewater at 27. I like the offense for Burrow going into Cincinnati. I like the pairing with Zach Taylor. I like the weapons that are there. Might be a guy that I draft at the end of my drafts. Probably only going to own him in super flex leagues. Can't see myself drafting him in standard single quarterback leagues. Maybe as my backup, but I don't think so. In super flex leagues, I'm definitely going to be taking a look at him. What do you think, Imran?
I think 26. I think is a good number. What I think will Burrow may benefit for you, especially if you get him in a super flex league, is I think the Bengals are going to be bad again.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to rack up some garbage time touchdowns,
yep.
garbage time yards, garbage time points.
I'm right.
So I think in a super flex league, I think he'll be showing his value there. And the guy had one of the greatest college football seasons last year.
60 touchdowns.
This guy, the guy is special. I'm really high on him. I think 26 is right now. I think it's where I would put him considering that team. I'm really interested to see how AJ Green does this year. He was out all of last year, so his body should be feeling good.
He's always out.
Yeah, but if
he's going to last
healthy,
8 weeks.
Yeah. Say again?
He's going to last 8 weeks and then fall
if he
apart.
does, that could be 8 good weeks of Burrow. So I like Burrow. I think in the end of the year, I think you could see him finish in the teens, late teens.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have something else to add on it?
No, I'm good. I'm good on Burrow. I absolutely just like the opportunity that he has in Cincinnati. And like the garbage time, I fully believe that. So that's just going to pad stats.
Yeah, absolutely. So our quarterback 26. I have Teddy Bridgewater right behind him at 27. I absolutely talked him up in my last article. I'm all about Teddy Bridgewater, even touched on him on the last video. So I'm not going to go into him too much here. I just really like the situation in Carolina. You get to play with one of the best running backs in the league, the best pass catching running back in the league that we've seen since I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Racking over 2,000 yards. The weapons around him are going to do all the work for him. And last year we saw his ability to come in, have a conservative approach to his game plan, get the ball to playmakers. Alvin Kamara, when he was there, actually Latavius Murray played 2 weeks that
Kamara was out.
Kamara was out, but Bridgewater was in for Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And that those weeks he still was able to put up good numbers. Actually, up against our Bears.
I know.
Yeah, that was a hurtful. That was one of the weeks that I started Latavius Murray. We talked about that before. He didn't give you any value, but I think it was like week 7 and 8. I plugged him in when Kamara was out, and he banged for me. So I like that. I like that Bridgewater can get the ball to his weapons. Having similar types of players like a Kamara to CMC. I'm not going to compare DJ Moore to Michael Thomas, but he has these options in a very West Coast friendly type of offense that he's going to be able to hit him quick and get really easy gains in this offense. You could walk away from your computer or your phone for a little while on a Sunday, come back and Teddy Bridgewater's got you another 8 points, another 4 points. There's just going to be gains all over the field for him. What do you think, Ebron?
I think you're right. I think he's a really safe quarterback. He's very, when they say game management, I think of Teddy Bridgewater. He's not going to cost you mistakes. So I know a lot of leagues punish you if you have interceptions. I don't think you're going to see him have any multi-interception games. I think he's going to be very conservative. I think, CMC going to continue to get those, dump-off passes. Would not be surprised if he gets another 100 catches, DJ Moore I like, Curtis Samuel. The one thing I am interested to see in this offense, though, is for the first time in what seems like forever, Greg Olson's not there.
They got Ian Thomas starting.
Yeah, Ian Thomas starting. And I don't know how I feel about that quite yet. But I think overall, QB 27, I'm very comfortable with that. If he's your QB2 in a super flex league, I think you can count on him for a pretty decent floor every week.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I like how he doesn't make mistakes. He's not going to hurt his team. That's the touchdowns and the yards are just going to come. He's just going to let his weapons work. So, very safe pick for the second super flex.
Okay, sounds good.
I have another guy. I like Baker Mayfield because they are setting up the team to support him this year. Last year, it was honestly a regression. That was really that was a bummer because he had every opportunity and all the weapons around him. But this year, he has an offensive coach in Kevin Stefanski, with bringing 2 tight ends to the team. David Njoku and also Austin Hooper. And he's got Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham on the outside. So this is kind of a make or break year for Baker, and I think that he's going to show up because he's always been the underdog. Basically, he played underneath Cliff Kingsbury in Texas Tech, so won his job as a starter as a walk-on, and then he wouldn't give him a scholarship or something like that. That's why he left and transferred to Oklahoma. So he's used to being discounted. He's used to
get your education paid for.
Well, yeah. But he's got his chip on his shoulder, and I think that he could break out this year for sure and definitely put his stamp on the league.
Yeah, I totally agree with Nick. I wrote about Baker Mayfield in one of my Cleveland Brown Pops article, and I think he's in line for a big year. And one of the things that Nick mentioned is Browns are so unique with all their weapons. At all the skill positions on offense, they have 2 legitimate threats. You got Odell and Landry, Hooper and Njoku, and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb out of the backfield, and they spent their first-round pick on an offensive tackle to protect Baker. So this team is clicking. I think what we need to mention is I think Freddie Kitchens is in over his head. He was not ready to be a head coach, not ready to be a play caller, and I think the team suffered because of that. And I think Kevin Stefanski, I saw him very closely in Minnesota. He designed a really good offense, and I think he has even more weapons in Cleveland than he did in Minnesota. And I think Baker is going to be a lot closer to his rookie year where he had 27 touchdowns. I could see him flirting with 30 this year.
Yeah, all the pieces are there for Baker Mayfield. You're not wrong at all about Freddie Kitchen being in over his head. The play calling was just dumbfounding at times. Almost a similar situation with Tariq Cohen and the Bears. You never know what the fuck they're doing. What are you guys doing back there with this guy?
Yeah.
But back to the Browns, Baker Mayfield, another situation where you have all the weapons in place. You have everything around you that you need for success. All the eyes are on Baker. Very similar situation to a Drew Locke, in Denver, like I mentioned before. So, yeah, I think everything's there for him. They've given him weapons at every position, depth at every position. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. Not someone that I'm targeting heavily in drafts. I do have him at quarterback 20, but he's not a risk adverse quarterback this year. I still think that with the regression that he did show last year, the weapons that they do have at running back, his upside may be limited to 2 touchdowns a game. Once he gets his 2 passing touchdowns, for all we know, Chubb can pop off a couple more. Kareem Hunt could steal one on the goal line.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see what they do. But because of all that talent that they have there, Mayfield's upside may be limited. So quarterback 20, not a bad spot. But at the same time, you might be caught drafting him, in a group where, if you see quarterbacks falling, you might see like, Mayfield's, like the highest one left right now. But you still have these other guys that we've just mentioned behind him, Burrow, Bridgewater. We've talked about Locke a few times now, and who's also in a really good offense. So not someone that you have to feel desperate to pull the trigger on right away. Even if you haven't drafted a single quarterback yet, I wouldn't want to feel like I'm pushed or forced to draft Mayfield in any scenario. Another guy, like Nick mentioned before, you just want to fall in your lap.
So I'll go up next, and Justin, you kind of segued into this quarterback, so we can talk about Drew Locke, who's a guy that if there's one quarterback I like just as much as I like Kyler Murray this year, it's Drew Locke. He had a fantastic, in my opinion, 5 games as a rookie. The Broncos, this doesn't apply to fantasy, but just to know, they went 4-1 in his 5 starts.
It's not bad.
I think that was really under the radar, and 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, which is also fantastic. But they did a great job, which we don't see a lot of teams do, of building around their young quarterback. He already had Cortland Sutton last year, who emerged as a really big time receiver. That he's arrived 6'4", has great speed. They doubled down last year in the first round. They took Noah Fant, who had some flashes as being a good tight end.
Big fan.
This year they took KJ Hamler in the second round and Jerry Jeudy in the first round. A lot of people said Jeudy was the most NFL ready receiver, but they didn't stop there. They took Albert O, college roommate, college teammate.
13 touchdowns the first year that they played together at Missouri. That's incredible.
It is fantastic.
And they're bringing that chemistry to the NFL. That's why I like Drew Locke, is because he's got his old teammate right there. He could be the second tight end and get 5 touchdowns or something, but that will help Drew Locke get those points for you.
And he ran a 4.49 at the combine and turned a lot of heads. He is built like he's a video game character. And last but not least, the least sexy position, they got Lloyd Christianberry on their offensive line in the 3rd round. Well, a lot of people thought should have been in the 1st round, 2nd round.
Yeah.
So I think Locke. We have him. Justin's got him ranked at 22. I think right now that's good. He would be someone I would take in the later rounds in your maybe your 12-13 range if he's still on the board. Cause I think he's someone that could emerge and have a really strong second year. And he's a quarterback, we were just talking about Baker Mayfield, who's had 3 head coaches in 3 years. Locke's going to have the same offensive system for a second year.
Consistency is key in the NFL. Absolutely. We see it time and time again. The guys that have to go through 4 different systems in 4 years, that's a lot of learning that you have to do. And it's stay with the same playbook and you'll have success in the NFL. That's one of the first steps to have success.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the situation there in Denver for Drew Locke. We didn't even mention Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay. If this team wants to, they can just pound the rock into the ground. So I see them doing that early on. I see Melvin Gordon having a ton of value. Phillip Lindsay still being there, doing the same thing. He's not really a pass-catching running back.
No.
He's still an in-between-the-tackles type of guy. So I see them leaning on the run game early on, taking some pressure off of Locke, and not asking him to have to do too much. So it's another really good situation where Locke, because they have probably the best defense of the teams that we've listed so far.
Yeah.
The Broncos. Yeah. It's not going to be a ton of garbage time for Locke, in my opinion. That's not how Vic Fangio rolls. This is blessed heart.
Yeah. And then one thing I was going to add, Justin, was we just talked about the Browns and their weapons. I mean, the Broncos, these young horses, pardon the pun, are they're the potential is as great as any team in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sutton, Jeudy, Hamler, and then you got Albert O, Fant. You mentioned
Sutton, Lindsay, Gordon.
It's
everything's there.
It's they're I mean, everything is on paper. They did a great. John Elway did a fantastic job in helping out.
That's something you get to say every day.
Not at all. Not at all. He's been having his issues. Your Paxton Lynch's, your Brock Osweiler's. He might have figured it out.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Time will tell.
I have faith in the young quarterback. I did like what I saw out of him last year. So again, someone that you don't have to pounce on immediately, someone that can fall into your lap. But once you get to that space, the quarterbacks that are available, rankings 20 plus, he's definitely somebody that you want to keep eyes on. My next guy is Gardner Minshew. Minshew mania last year. Loved everything on and off the field. There's a lot to like about this guy. But what I like the most is he protected the ball. 21 passing touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. He did have some issues keeping the ball in his hands, but that's just because he's very agile behind the line of scrimmage. He does like to improvise back there and start using his legs and extend the play, keep things rolling. So I like him a lot this year. This is a very, very garbage time friendly situation. I think that they are going to be one of the worst teams in the league based off of their defensive side of the ball. They're still talking about trading Yannick Ngakoue for a wide receiver in Tyrell Williams. Has anyone else seen this?
I have seen that.
Yeah.
That Gruden is just absolutely going to be robbing them if they pull that off.
Yeah, I love it, actually. I love it. I'm really high on the Raiders this year, and we were talking about that division earlier, so I would love it for the Raiders. But for the Jaguars, what are you doing?
I mean, and they had so many teams offering him a first-round pick in the draft for Yannick. Shout out Yannick Ngakoue, local guy, Terp.
Yeah,
I think they made a big mistake not trading him in draft night. They could have gotten a first-round pick. Teams like Miami that had multiple first-round picks, and cap space would have easily traded that away. And now you're in a weird position right now.
Well, they just can't manage their relationships in Jacksonville. I'm sorry. I was hearing Jalen Ramsey. Oh, everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna talk it out. We're gonna work it out. You didn't, did you?
Yeah.
You didn't, did you?
And everybody always says NFL stands for not for long, right? Remember this team was in the AFC Championship game, about 6 minutes away from the Super Bowl, right?
What a fall from grace!
That was just 3 years ago.
Yeah,
they were minutes away from the Super Bowl. They Marone,
It's sad situation in Jacksonville.
NFL comes at you fast.
I like Gardner Minshew this year in Jacksonville. I do think he's going to be playing a bunch of garbage time. He had another year to elevate his game. System is still going to be the same there. So I like what he can offer this year. It's just that not someone that you're drafting in single quarterback leagues. Definitely a super flex sleeper. Not, again, someone you don't have to pounce on. If I grab me a Lamar or a Mahomes early on, and I want to really stack up on my position players, Minshew is definitely somebody I'm looking at.
That'll be a solid number two.
That's definitely somebody I'm looking at in Superflex. Especially in 12-team Superflexes, I'll grab 3 quarterbacks for sure. He'll absolutely be in that mix. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year I was in a Superflex league, and I had Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett as insurance policy in case Lamar Jackson got hurt. I didn't need him all year, but, Lamar Jackson carried me, and I tried to just be smart about it. The 3 quarterback system in a Superflex is one of the smartest systems you can have. You can just take that flyer at the end of the draft on a quarterback that you think can,
take Justin Herbert if you have to.
Yeah. Like if your main guy gets hurt,
by week 4.
Get someone in to get those points for you. So yeah, I agree.
Yep. All right, cool. That was my last one. Who do we have left here?
I'll do back to back. We got a couple left here. One, I'm gonna go with Phillip Rivers.
Gunslinger.
God, how old is Phillip Rivers now? He's
40.
making his debut in Indianapolis this year.
Mm-hmm.
So Phillip Rivers is someone, I think he's going from, the Chargers to the Colts. And the Chargers, they get forgotten for how many weapons that offense has. Your Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. They had Eckler, Gordon, Hunter Henry. And he's going to Indy, where Indy is, T.Y. Hilton.
Paris Campbell.
You got
Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and
they got some rookies and some young guys.
And Mac.
People are really high on Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman is a solid receiver coming in. He is a rookie though, so they don't have as many established stars. So Rivers, going into his I think his 17th year. I think he is. We got him ranked at quarterback 19. I'm okay with that. I might be a little bit lower than Justin on him, and maybe closer to the mid 20s. I just think father time, new team. It isn't kind of a new offense for him. He did have Frank Reich as his offensive coordinator with the Chargers a few years ago. But I just, I think he's going to be a quarterback that you might use as a, your second option in a super flex league. I think he may maybe some upside some weeks. He's been in the league for a while. I don't trust him as your every week starter at all. Maybe for a bye week fill in here or there in standard leagues, but I'm not too high on Rivers this year.
I just mentioned the Jacksonville Jaguars defense playing really bad this year. They're going to play him twice. So I'm definitely going to be all over Rivers in some spot weeks for sure. This is a quarterback who still threw over 4,600 yards last year. Obviously, he had an Austin Eckler there that was doing a lot of the work for him. 4,300 yards the year before that, 4,500 yards 3 years ago. He's going to be 39 this year, but he's still a gunslinger. He's still going to pass the ball a lot. I think that Jonathan Taylor and Mack will be, consistently using that backfield to take some pressure off of him. They still have a really good offensive line to keep him on his feet. So I see some upside there, and that's why I have him inside the top 20. He actually would be an option, like a Matt Stafford, that I'd be looking for to actually grab as my second quarterback in a Superflex league, because I do feel that people are going to disrespect him and let him fall down draft board. So where I may have him higher at 19, I do think a lot of people have him closer to like 24, 25.
It's his interceptions.
Yeah, and I'm going to be able to get some value on him. Maybe.
For me, I mean, he's like the tier below Jameis Winston in terms of interceptions. He's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to force those windows. He's going to take those chances. I'm not really sure how the offense is going to be too much different from scheme in San Diego or Los Angeles now, but he just throws a lot of interceptions. So if I'm in a league where we get penalized for interceptions, I'm going to avoid him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're getting a significant penalty for interceptions, like over 4 points, then yeah, he might be someone that you want to stay away from. Most leagues are 6 points passing touchdown, -4 for interception. I've seen even if you do the 4 and 2 leagues, 4 points for a passing touchdown, -2 for interceptions. That would actually be really ideal for him, just because you have a 2-to-1 ratio there. But I'm still all about him. I think that he does clean up the mistakes this year. He did have 20 interceptions last year. That's a lot. But at the same time, they were missing Gordon early on. They were forcing the ball to Eckler. And yeah, maybe the system just wasn't right there for him. I think that Frank Reich, quarterback whisperer, back end, like, old time, third string quarterback type of coach. I like Frank Reich a lot. I think it's a good match with a Phillip Rivers. Obviously, they're still trying to facilitate the loss of an Andrew Luck. They've tried Jacoby Brissett. They brought in Phillip Rivers. And honestly, if Rivers doesn't work, I see Jacoby Brissett as a guy waiting in the wings to fill his shoes and take the snaps. And I think he'll make the offense run just as well. So as far as the other options there, I think both quarterbacks will keep them all lively. But I will look for Rivers to be my second quarterback in Superflexes this year for sure.
All right. So we got one more quarterback left, and this is the quarterback we actually have ranked highest among the 7 others we've talked about. That's going to be Matthew Stafford. Justin's got him ranked at number 12.
Yep.
So Matthew Stafford last year, for the first time in about almost a decade,
8 years.
Yeah, almost a decade. Missed a game. So Stafford, early in his career, a lot of people remember he used to have injury problems, but from 2011 prior to last year, he didn't miss a single game. So last year in 8 games, he was on pace for quite the season. He was on pace for a 5,000-yard, 38 touchdown, 10 interception season.
And it would have been a career year.
It would have been one of his best years ever. And the craziest thing is, the Lions were actually a competent team. They were actually doing well. We talked about the Steelers earlier, going down to your second and third string quarterback. That's what happened to them. So I think Stafford, 12 is a number I agree with on Justin. I think he's going to be, you're one of those last quarterbacks you'd consider a start on your standard 12-team leagues. But I think Stafford, he's got a plethora of weapons. You got Kenny Galladay, who keeps getting better and better every year. You got Marvin Jones on the outside, Danny Amendola, last year's first-round pick, TJ Hockinson.
Like a lot.
Yeah, I like him a lot this year, too. And Hockinson, we all see tight ends rarely make an impact in their rookie year. It's very scarce.
It's a very common theme.
And second and third year is when they take a jump. So I think Hawkinson's going to make a big jump this year. And rookie running back, they took DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to be a big help in the passing game as well. So I'm expecting Stafford to stay healthy this year, and I think he's going to get some serious recognition for comeback player of the year.
The way I see Matthew Stafford is I see him as what Phillip Rivers used to be, like that gunslinger that he would only throw like 10 interceptions. Back then, I see Matthew Stafford in that same vein as he's such a good quarterback, but he's on like a tough team to like have success on. But
absolutely.
He tries his best to get teams his wins. I don't see him throwing like even 15 interceptions this year, to be completely honest. He
takes care of the ball.
Yeah, he definitely takes care of the ball. So, what you expect from Phillip Rivers, in like 2011, expect that from Matthew Stafford right now.
Yeah, I can absolutely see like a 25-10, 28-10 type of season for Stafford. Don't take those numbers to like any props or anything like that. I have confidence in him, but at the same time, I question the Detroit Lions offense. In my opinion, they have a little bit of an identity issue, and Matthew Stafford is just always old faithful. When they're down, they're going to be passing a lot. He's going to get a ton of usage, right? The running game will be there, but at the same time, they've taken some hits on defense. They lost Darius Slay. They did draft Jeff Okudah with their 3rd overall pick, which is nice. That's going to supplement that usage back there. They have some defensive playmakers, but at the same time, I see them getting beat up in the division. I see them playing from behind. So lends Stafford a little bit more upside. But early on in the year, I do think that they're going to struggle to have their identity, whether they're a passing offense, they're a running offense. You just mentioned Swift. They still have Kerryon Johnson there, who I think Swift will take some pressure off of Johnson's workload, and both of them will, should have steady production all year. You may not know necessarily who to start there, but Stafford's value should be solid every week because I do still see them as a team that's playing from behind. They're going to be playing really good teams in their divisions, in the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings. Yep. So I see them playing from behind in a lot of games, and he's a quarterback that has really high value for some available garbage time. So I'm all about him this year. I will grab Matthew Stafford as my starting quarterback in single quarterback leagues.
Absolutely. I agree.
12th, 13th, 14th starting quarterback to go. If I really like the value that I have with my position players, yeah, I'll definitely start Stafford in my single quarterback league for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the guy, it feels like he's been in the NFL forever.
It's 2009, 10 years.
He's only 32.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know.
He's got another 10 years.
He came in at 21.
Yep.
I came in at 21.
Yeah, I think he does. But like Justin mentioned, I think he's got a talented team around him. He just played in a really tough division. He's got to play the Packers, Bears, and Vikings twice with some good defenses. But I think he's got some weapons where I think he'll still be able to be productive for him.
And I absolutely hate Matt Patricia. Every year he will be my mid-season coach firing prop. Like if you give me a coach that will be fired in the season, give me Matt Patricia.
You think he makes it to the end of the year?
I don't know. I hope not for their sake.
Year. No.
Yeah, my big thing with Matt Patricia is he literally ran Darius Slay out of town for unnecessary reasons. Something about jersey.
And you're
swaps.
a defensive coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn good corner.
He's a defensive-minded coach, and they were one of the worst defenses in the league last year.
And traded away.
And
embarrassing.
We talked about the Steelers earlier. We talked about them not having a quarterback, not really having any offensive weapons. James Conner was still hurt last year. His production was limited with the lack of Roethlisberger. This offense still had weapons, but it seemed like Kenny Golladay was the only guy that could eat.
Yep.
He was the only guy that was able to grab some production in all the garbage time, right? So I don't really like Patricia. He is someone that I'm really low on as far as coaches go, and I do have a bit of a drawback in some of the rankings for their players because of their game plan, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of them. All of preseason last year, they're talking about pounding the rock, running the ball, but why? Look at the weapons you have in the passing game. Why would you say that this is who we are, this is what we're going to do, when you have a guy like Kerryon Johnson and historically runners in Detroit? No success.
No.
Do we know who the last 100-yard rusher was for Detroit? That's a trivia question in the state of Michigan.
Probably LeGarrette Blount.
100-yard rusher. It's a thing. I don't know who it was.
Maybe Reggie Bush.
I really don't know. I don't know.
Or you mean the 1,000-yard?
I think it might have been 1,000.
You shouldn't ask trivia questions if you don't know the answers. I suppose it's just a terrible thing. It'll take you down some bad internet rabbit holes. But yeah, regardless, the running game, the upside there has been super limited. Poor offensive line play. The game plan is never consistent. You don't know what you're going to get out of the offense, and it just seems at the end of the day they ground the ball into the ground, or pound the ball into the ground the first half, and then the second half of games it's Matthew Stafford time because they're either playing for behind or they need to spark something. Yeah, get something on the fucking board.
Yeah.
Look for Lions first half unders to start of this year. That's all I got, guys. You got anything else you want to add in?
Nope.
No, just excited to start being on video and working with you guys. Thanks again for the opportunity.
We're glad to have you here, man. Really excited
absolutely.
about having the full crew in the Hizzy. This was Take It to the Hizzy, number 32. Go ahead and smash the like button, share the video, and we'll see you guys next time. I'm Justin Bruni.
I'm Nick.
I'm Ebron.
We'll see you guys next time. Take care.
See you,
later,
Doodles.
guys.